Well, good afternoon and welcome to this special Island Stats BFA combination pregame show for Bermuda versus Haiti here at the National Sports Center, Flora Duffy Southfield Stadium this afternoon. Kickoff is in approximately an hour and a half. I have with me co-host Nikita Robinson, Coach Kita, and I also have with me Mr.
Maceo Deal.
Yeah.
Oh, you forgot my name.
I ran blank. I ran blank for a second, Mace.
He was talking all the way around it too. I was like, I don't see what it's
I was gonna leave you on that one. I'm glad somebody forgot my name for once.
No, see, I was trying to say something good.
Yeah.
When it's something bad,
They remember my name. They don't forget my name when it's something bad.
Right off the bat, I know Coach, you were in this position a little while ago, and I talk about the position as a coach of the national team getting ready for international match. Take us through what Kyle would be going through as the head coach of the men's national team in preparation for this particular match.
Oh, I'm sure he's done his homework. He's done his research on Haiti, and he will just be hoping that the boys right now can come out and do the job that they've been preparing to do. So at this moment now, it's no more coaching. It's just finalizing just ideals at this moment, and just making sure that the players are in a good space and ready to take on such a target and opponent. Yeah. It's definitely not a time for any panic or any doubt because it's showtime now. It's an hour and a half to kick off, and now it's just a matter of putting all the pieces together. They've been preparing for this match. They are very well aware of the opponent and who they face today. So I know that right now will be a bit of nerves for Kyle. Got some new faces in there, some unavailable players. So again, it's just a matter of hoping that all the pieces can be put together today.
Sure, and of course, makes your experience as well. Having to add these new players or wanting to add new players and getting new players in, what would they be going through, and what's some of the things that, as a coach, you want to be telling them because they're going to have to play a part in this in the short space of time?
Yeah, so I have very mixed reactions about that. And while obviously we have to go through a transition with the national team, right? We have to go through a transition of bringing younger faces in. But it's about when, where, and why. This is Haiti, right? This is Haiti. And not knowing all the circumstances, you got Tezeko Lewis is not there. You got three young professionals in Remy Coddington, Najai Tucker, Johnny Butcher, actually four young professionals, and Sincere Hall that are not included in this team. And to play Haiti at this type of time and the type of level Haiti's at, it could get rough out there. It could get rough out. But yes, we do have to start to transition younger kids into our national team because the national team was aging. We're talking about Lakeith Wells. He's 32 years old right now. He's not had a lot of football this year, so we could be up against it, man. We can be up against it. We have to get it 100% right today to just be in the match.
How much does the home crowd play into it, Kita? Or how much did the home crowd play in it for you and your team? And should it be like that all the time for no matter who's playing, what age group, what gender, whatever, it's the national team playing?
Yeah, you get excited because it's a home crowd, but there's a lot of pressure playing in front of your fans. And Bermuda fans are some of the hardest fans to play in front of. For the women, we had a pretty successful game. We had a game plan. We knew going into the match that we were better than the opponent, and so we knew that from the whistle we would have Bermuda behind it. For the men, Bermuda understands the opponent. We face his opponent both on the male and the female side. So having that home crowd advantage works when the crowd is completely behind you. And I will encourage the fans that's coming out today to just be behind the boys from the whistle and all the way through the 90 plus minutes. So it's that added pressure, and if our players can understand that and know the beast that they will deal with our fans, then they will be able to be successful. It's just getting out there and playing, and it's the thing with the younger players, and the younger players that are in the team are players that are exposed overseas as well, and understanding that you're gonna have to silence the silence and noise, and so the crowd is as much as you need them behind you. At times, they could just be noise that can get in their head. So if they're able to play through that, I think they'll be fine. It's great to play in Bermuda. All week you hear people, yes, the game, and even just now people trying to get tickets, and I'm hoping that it's the 800 people that were here to support the women. I hope that it's that number or even more to support the men tonight. Because we're gonna need that tough player. We're gonna need the crowd, to get through this match.
We need the crowd, not off field coaches.
Yes, absolutely. Let the coaches do their job. Let the players do their job. Because they trust me, they do hear everything that gets out onto the field. As much as you may not think that we hear it when we're down on the touchline. We do hear
We've heard you on
everything.
the field cam on the field mic several times. Maceo, you already mentioned some of the players that were not included in the team, but looking at the list of 30, because obviously some players are unable to travel with the team for the away matches and so forth for whatever reasons. What would be a concern of yours? Because I know one of the concerns I have is the lack of backup people for the back.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. For me, I've got a concern right across the board. I got a concern from the goalkeeper right up to the striker. And if you start with the goalkeeper, do we have experience outside of Dale? That a keeper that can sort of play at that level with his feet. That brings me to, I know in the stands that now.
Right.
Ahead of that. So we just have to bridge these gaps a lot quicker than we're doing.
I mean, well, it's one of those things, and the good thing is right now we have with us somebody that's in this system as far as the coaching aspect of it all. And I think it's one of those conversations where the association through coaching, um, and the players have to sit down
And work it out.
and work it out. But
Yeah.
the thing is, it has to be worked out in that vein. I think when we have people on whatever side saying, I don't understand why, and I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
but when we talk, we don't know what goes on behind the closed door because the coach and the players have to have that conversation, and eventually that will happen if it already hasn't happened. I think it should happen, and when it does happen, we collectively as a country move forward. So
I agree, and I can speak to it in the sense of if players, as Maceo mentioned, some players don't want to be a part, for whatever reason, but to the person on the outside, it looks like they're not being asked to be a part. And having those same conversations, players are not available. They're unavailable for what, whether they're injured, unavailable, or they're unavailable because they may simply just not want to be a part based off of maybe who the coaches are. But at the end of the day, that's who the coaches are.
right.
That's who the coaches are at this time. So, as you speak of the other younger players who you're saying are kind of behind, and I will tend to agree with that, but they're the ones who took up the offer and showed up to train, right? Um, I spoke, as I said, I spoke with Johnny Bertrell personally last night, to ask even about the under 23s, and he's like, no, I'm not available. And so at the end of the day, for whatever reason, that they may be focused on their careers. I have that situation with Kenny Thompson at the moment. Her father has said she is focusing on her Manchester team, and I have to respect that as a coach. So whilst not having had any conversations with regards to the availability of these young players, I'm sure that there has to be a reason why they're not included in this team.
Well, I don't think it's just a national issue because if you look at it around clubs, players go where a certain coach is, or they refuse to play in a team that has a coach. So, or they just don't like the environment at the club that they're at and decide to move on to somewhere else. But they make a decision whether or not they want to be involved or not. And I think at the national level, we again that conversation has to be had, but all in good time. All in good time, because remember that one thing you don't want to do is keep chasing a horse, chasing a horse, chasing a horse, and the horse keep telling you one thing, but the actions show you something totally different. And we see that over and over and over. We see that at club level. You know what I mean? And so we have to praise the ones that put their hand up and say, yes, I'll take part of it. I'll take up the challenge. No, I might not be as good as Maceo. I might not be as good as Keita, but I'm going to take up the challenge.
I get all the sides of it. I'm disappointed on both sides of it. I'm disappointed from the player perspective. I'm disappointed from the coach's perspective. I'm disappointed from the fan perspective that is not worked out. My biasness is obvious that I lean towards the player.
Yeah,
I always lean towards the player because for me, the player is the most important resources to the game. And we have to figure out how to bridge that gap in the player without compromising what we want to do as a country. So it's not bridging that gap and compromise. If we can speak of United, I think trying to bridge the gap with a Pogba compromised United, and now Pogba's going. So figuring out how to bridge that gap without compromising what we need to do. But
Well,
that's just a conversation, and when we do that, we have more exciting conversations about how we're gonna go forward.
Sure.
And I really think that we with those type of players at that level, that we stand a serious chance against Haiti today.
Yeah. I mean,
it sends a different message.
Well,
right?
it does. I know one of the things that for tonight's game, we all know we still have that issue of COVID. Camps in all countries. So that's going to be a challenge for Haiti getting here. We know what the issues will be for them, visas and the like. We have to do the same thing. We have to travel and yeah, all of that has to be done as well. But on a night like tonight, where we start off with 0 points, and the one thing we have to remember this time around, it's a league, so it's not a one-off. You know what I mean? And it's how we set up to play this initial first game. A lot of people that don't regularly watch football or don't understand when it's a league or when it's a cup, you know what I mean, might not get some of the tactics. We don't know what the tactics will be tonight, but might not get the tactics tonight that maybe we should if we go a girl up, set up.
Yeah.
Or if we go down, how do we consolidate? All those type of things that right now they're putting the final touches on because we saw the Bermuda team arrive.
We speak of tactics, and historically, just looking at the tactics that Bermuda national team, the man's employed to him, they're actually been trying to enforce their way of playing on teams, and it's left them open. It's left them open. We took some heavy defeats at home against some good opposition. For me, just simply put, especially with new look players, this should be a park the bus game for me. And two, can we get to 70 minutes? Can we get to 15 minutes no score? Can we get to 30 minutes no score? Can we get to the half?
Right.
And can we get to 70 minutes? And because it's a league format, can we figure out how to get out of this game without losing the game? That's a hard thing to do. Can we get out of it? Because then we can start to gain momentum.
Right.
Because we know what Haiti offers in that striker. I mean, he's punished us on many occasions, right? Can we notify him? I wouldn't want to see us to be open, play open football today.
Right.
Because we're gonna have some concerns with fitness, we're gonna have concerns with organization, we're gonna have concerns with players gelling because it's a new group. So that's how I'm looking at it. But that remains to be seen, right? How we employ that tactics.
Yeah, I mean, for me, tactically, again, as I said, we've had the experience, and the Haiti game wasn't that far away. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. And we do know what that striker can bring. We do know that there was some mental lapses in that game. I don't know if you guys remember the free kick where they pretended to be arguing.
Yes.
That was what got them going.
Back in the
we were hanging on up until that point, and so I can trust and believe that that the coaches have done their homework to rectify that situation. I did go to a few of the sessions with I believe his name is Ben, and just watched even the intensity of the sessions. Great intensity there. So while fitness may be somewhat of an issue for some of the players, I think for the most part that they should be able to handle this pressure tonight. I just, again, and it could be the naive me thinking that, as Earl said, it's 0-0. No one has points. They have to win the match just like we have to win the match. So I hope that our boys don't have a defeatist mentality as if it's Haiti. We're going to lose against Haiti, and this is what we're going to do. Because then, what's the purpose? All right, what is the purpose? I think we are growing. I think we have grown since that last match, and I just hope that the guys come out tonight and have a good showing.
We're a very short in stature country when it comes to football, and I think, Mason, you touched on it, that we're trying to impose our style on teams so they play to what we consider our strength, and that is putting the ball down as quickly as we can, playing through the channels, getting in on the other side of them, and trying to put chances away, right? You look at a team like Haiti, don't know much about Montserrat, Guyana. These guys are going to try and be physical because that's going to slow down the speed. As a coach, what are some of the tactics you would implement to ensure that your style, despite them trying to be physical, is actually the one that kind of dominates the game?
I will play narrow, right? I would try to set my block up on the last third. So I wouldn't want to drop my players back on top of the box. Okay. So if I'm able to take the whole block and the whole team and play very, very narrow, almost without wingers, inside wingers per se. So if I play with inside wingers inside wingers that are close. All my players are close together, so we can get 2-on-1 situations, and we can nullify Haiti's physical threat. Because if we got one player in front, one player in back, and I'll frustrate Haiti and hopefully look to make them kick long balls at the top that my goalkeeper gets if I'm playing out. Because if we were seeing it, if we allow them to get within our last third, and we make those mistakes, because we've done it before, it's just constant pressure on us, constant pressure on us, constant pressure on us. So I'm trying to set my block up on the last third, right? That line, and I'm only playing in the middle third of the field. And I'm not allowing for the early parts, I'm not allowing my players to chase balls forward. I'm stifling the game. And in stifling the game and playing very close, it suits that what we want to do is small players play short balls, boom, boom, and get somebody on the end of it. Right. Maybe we steal a goal. But if we open up, previously we're opening up where we had fullbacks bombing forward, we're leaving space behind, where these people bombing forward, had 6-7 people bombing forward, it leaves those gaps. So if you can imagine the field cut up in third, I want to play just in that third. I want to set that line up. I don't want constant bombarding in my box, because the Haiti striker is physical. You get the ball to him. You get the ball to him in the box. That's where the panic starts in. You're seeing it when panic starts in when the ball's in the box, and we miss a tackle or we miss something like that. So that's how I'm looking at the tackle.
Let me ask you, Coach Keita, because we're often talking about their big striker and when he gets the ball. One of the ways to negate that is to put a player in front of him. So instead of the player marking behind, put the player in front of him and try to eliminate him from getting the ball, put pressure on him from in front, him trying to get the ball, force him to now start running through channels.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Mason in setting somewhat of a medium block. However, how long do we sit in that block? Yes, because our players are still gonna want to play. Again, respecting the opposition, and not playing in a low block that sits right on top of our box, because that just invites the pressure, and eventually that will get broken down and we'll be down a goal or two. So playing a medium block just above the low block, until we can get our footing. And then we look to play, actually. Dealing with that striker, again, I would hope that our coaches have done their homework to understand how to stifle him. And again, when we defend as a compact unit. So he should never be isolated. Our center back about 3 or 4 should never be isolated with this one guy, as we saw in the other game. As Mason said, it was very open. And I think a lot of that has to do with fitness, because we were, not that our players didn't know where they had to be or had to get, they just didn't. So again, it's just players understanding their roles and making sure that the things that they're doing is immediate. We don't have time for pointing fingers, or if your teammate isn't in his position to do his job, get their duty job, and then we discuss it afterwards. So again, it's just making sure that everyone understands their role. Because it's gonna obviously be a team effort tonight, and if they're banking on that, I'm sure they have other players too, right? We're spending so much time focused on that one player. What if he is nullified? What do we do with the rest?
Right.
And that's where the block comes in, with everybody understanding their role.
Right.
We talk about that medium block, so we're just talking about setting up right on the edge of the center circle in our half, setting up there, and when we're playing tight. Now it suits our style, because in tight situation, I would say that we're going to be tactically battle on the ball. So that's what we have. We have individual players that can be technically battle on the ball. So if you make it in a tight situation, you make it in a tight situation, we're going to be seen to handle that ball better, play quick short passes, and maybe get behind once or twice with opportunity to score without exhausting our legs and running long distances. So when we open the game up and we bomb our fullback, so that's long distances you got to run. So you want to actually stifle the game. You want to stifle the game as long as you can to be able to steal a goal.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting how we choose to set up, what the team selection is. I'm interested to see what the starting line is. So that will give that indication as to how we're looking to play.
Yeah. Well, we're less than an hour away from kickoff. Kickoff time 6 o'clock. this early kickoff, Coach, does it benefit us or does it hurt us a bit?
It is like, but
Well, you know what? It's gonna be hot.
Yes.
It's gonna be hot.
we have done 9 o'clock.
For I don't know. I mean, I can tell you why. I've been to Haiti on quite a few occasions. I don't know where most of their players are based.
No.
If they're based in Haiti, it's gonna be this could be an awesome atmosphere for them.
Yeah,
For us, it may be our players have been training. I don't know if they've done 2 days as we've gotten closer. but
Right.
This is our training time,
Hmm.
so it's not something that should be that uncomfortable for them because this is the time that we actually train. I don't know what time their official training session was yesterday, but I know that for me, we have even stopped training. I don't train anymore the time we play. Our players need to work again accustomed to these conditions, and we can no longer use temperatures
Mhm.
as an excuse.
Right.
Yeah. Well, exactly. We are beyond using the temperature. But it's some clouds up there. I think that if it stays like this, I think it'd be pretty okay.
the 1-off situation. The rather the 6 o'clock start. Words in my mind. I'm saying, I think I would have played this game at nighttime. I had played it at 9 o'clock late and make Haiti tired or something. Get them the sun all day. Play the game at 9 o'clock and
The scary part of that
Hope they go
is,
to the beach.
But
I hope
the
they
scary-
go to the beach.
but
And
the
say,
scary
"Look,
part of
take
that
them to
is-
the beach."
we're gonna do the same thing.
And put our players in lockdown. Take our players and send
Let me
Haiti
ask-
to
Lock all the
tours.
doors.
Let me ask you, okay, I was just gonna say, let me ask you, when was the last time that worked?
Wishful thinking. Just wishful thinking.
But the good thing is that these players, especially the new ones, the ones that are new into the sport, have an opportunity to be in front of the crowd, be at home, get that feel for what that pride's like to represent their country in their country, even if they don't get on the field, just to be in the environment, just to be on the bench. It's a big thing for them, and I think they need to take it all in because it's going to be very challenging down the road. When they go on the road, because it's
It's
new.
gonna be their fans.
Yeah.
That's the exciting part for me. Like
Mhm.
bringing in younger players. I mean, Andre Moore, he's a player that I worked with, and like he could be a mainstay.
Hmm.
He comes from Odenny Town. He's got that mentality of no guts, no glory type of
Mhm,
mentality. The other kid that's earned his right into this team is the guy Azende Furbitt.
Furbitt,
He's through the domestic plate. So we see now it's like, okay, let's test him internationally. So he's one that I would like to see starting in this team tonight because he's one that's done such a wonderful job in making Danny Town play and click, right?
Hmm.
So I want to see how they put this puzzle together. That's the interesting part. The how do they put the puzzle together with what we have at this moment?
But you listen to Maceo and he's calling all these names. Like I mean, I'm in a space with the women's team where it's like this is just the beginning for us.
Uh-huh.
And as I'm listening, I'm getting excited because this is just the beginning
Right.
for this generation of players. Now, remember, this is the generation that was our measuring to.
Mhm.
So that's the Rams, the John. Like they are actual measuring stick now that we have these nations leagues. Remember, before we just had World Cup qualifiers.
Right. Once every 4 years.
Right. So
Yeah.
now we have this measuring stick of players who's gonna come into our national team at just the right time, and they're getting all of these matches, right?
Mhm.
And every time Maceo mentioned he's mentioned another young prospect that is part of the setup now.
Mhm, mhm.
You know what I mean? And just imagine now that next 5, 6, or 7 players that's gonna come into this team. I mean, I'm excited to see what these 17, 18-year-olds look like at 21, 22 out on the same field.
Mm.
And we're sitting here having this conversation. Hey, remember in 2022 when we discussed, and now you have a Jai Pitt or whomever leading the line,
Mhm,
and the key, a consultant for him or something like, you know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
So it's so exciting to
And
just
then,
know what's happening there, what's coming down the pipeline.
that also excites me too. The point is to make sure the right support's on,
Mm,
Sure.
and the right information's on. That's the thing. There's no doubt players follow certain coaches.
mhm.
That's across the world,
Right,
That's
right,
across the
right.
world. So that goes to the right information that that gives that player that spirit to want to be a part of it. You know, there are players that will be a part of anything no matter what.
Mhm.
But those personality players, you got to figure out how to bridge the personality piece. And I'm always talking about the personality players, but the personality players are high risk, but the high reward.
Yes,
The
but
high risk. I mean,
uh,
for me, as a personality player, I'm high risk and high reward.
right.
You know, so
You
how
know
do we
what's
bridge
funny
that?
with that?
How do we bridge that gap with those personality type of players and
Mm.
bring the right support, the right coaching, the right everything around them?
But that it's funny. It's funny to hear people hear you say that because what you might think is right, she might think is wrong.
Yeah.
I might think differently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
And
Everything is
and that's
subjective.
and
right,
it's
and
very
that's
subjective. So
where
it's not,
and that's where I think a lot of times, especially in Bermuda sports, not just in football, in Bermuda sports, the people that question who's part of the management, part of the coaching, part of there, whoever don't like that setup are the ones that are listened to the most. And I think that's where we need to stop and allow. If it's not going to work, it's not going to work.
yeah.
But
And
you
it's,
have to let it run its
I'll
course.
give you a scenario. I give you, and Keita can speak to it as well because we are experienced together. We have a joke at North Village that we had a bunch of praises. I mean, Kevin Jennings was the nicest guy you ever wanted to talk to away from the football field.
Mm,
Get him in training on the football field. Personality player.
mm,
Keith Jennings, personality player. Cantuan Jennings, personality. When you figure it out how to bring that personality together, and with psychology, it's psychology stuff, right?
mm, mm,
It's brilliant what happens. Now, take when Morty came to North Village. Morty came to North Village with a big personality and high level of discipline
mm,
that wasn't at North Village at the time.
mm,
And what he did, he used somebody like me to bridge that gap
mm.
with the foundational player, and I was learning at the same time. So again, it's bringing people along within the coaching staff, within the organization that can maybe bridge a gap to one or two players that you need
Mm.
because maybe they don't get along with the head coach or the assistant coach, but they come in for that situation. So it's bringing a team of people. And Morty used to regularly say to me with certain players, "Yeah, you talk to them, Mason." And I would say that, I mean, when I was coaching at North Village, me and Streaker, I wouldn't say anything to Keith Jennings,
Mm.
but I'll say it to Ralphie to say it to Keith. And it's just all these pieces. Because if you say it to Keith, he's going south in the game.
Mm.
But
Mm.
if you keep Keith in the game, he's winning the game for you.
Right.
So
Right.
again, that personality pieces, and I can now get to this unit here. I know Najai Tucker. I know Remy Collins. These are high personality, high emotional players.
Mhm.
And how do we bridge that personality piece, man? Because that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about the ability of the coaches. We're not talking about the ability of the players because that's there or the
Mhm.
experience. What we're talking about, how do we bridge the personality differences?
Right.
And we
Right.
have to bridge that personality difference for the betterment of the team and the country.
Mhm. Now, Coach, you would have had similar problems of late, and probably in the future, for the very near future, having to pick, quote unquote, because actually Kyle said it in the press conference that we had 2 days ago or 3 days ago. He's almost had to pick a team for Bermuda and a team for the road. Is that a good thing?
I think it's a forced thing for him because of vaccinations and or what have you, right? It's you don't tend to, as a coach, I try not to, especially if I have a nucleus of players, right?
Mhm.
You obviously have to have extra players. You have to have people that have to come in because anything can happen,
Mhm.
right? We play tonight, we pick up a few injuries. You gotta